You get on your knee, you ask, will you be my, spouse for the rest of, and then all of a sudden you're off in the distance, married, and then all of a sudden there's this struggle. And you're like, wait, hold up. Did I make a mistake? I thought this wasn't going to be like this.
Give it all away. Oh, 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 oh. Give it all away.
It's something that I'm seeing more and more is that people are becoming, I think, more aware of the need to invest in their relationship.
Sure.
And but maybe let's look at people who have a hard time saying, well, why do I need to work at this?
Right.
Like, why, if I love you and you love me, why do we need to work at it?
Because you need to work at everything. It's like it's just the way it is,
Right.
right? Like, man, I want to get fit, so I'm just going to eat potato chips and
Right.
Sit on my couch.
If I think really hard
think
about
really
it,
hard
if I
about
watch
it,
a
just
lot
goes so
of
easy, yeah.
MMA fighters,
Yeah,
and
I get fit just doing that.
right, and,
Yeah.
and watching some Rocky movies, maybe
Yeah,
working
I'm pumped
out
up
is
just
I don't
thinking
need to
about it.
because
Yeah.
I'm inspired.
That's correct. Yeah, so if I just watch, The Notebook,
Right.
a few times and a couple of love stories that
Titanic, throw that in there.
Yeah,
but I think she could have put him on the rap. But anyway, we're
she
not
could
going to
have.
talk about that.
Yeah.
But no, but seriously, like the thing that I'm I do this sometimes on chastity talks when I go to speak at
Sure.
in different groups, and I try to tap into this idea that we have this desire for something, but just because we have the desire for it, we want it,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it automatically, naturally just comes to us. And so I call the audience, and I say, hey, has anybody have a desire to like rock out on stage one day on the guitar,
Right.
but has never yet had the chance to practice it?
Right.
And some people raised their hand, and I asked one of those hands to come up, and I say, well, look, you've had this desire to rock out on stage, and here's an audience, and here's the stage, and oops, and I grab a guitar and I say, here's a guitar, let's go with it, let's make it happen.
Right.
And then they try, and it sounds terrible, and I say, well, you're not trying hard enough, like this is your moment, right? And I give them a pick. It's like, well, maybe the pick will help out, and maybe this encouragement, I give that to them. They try it again, and nothing, right? And then I round of applause, they go sit down, and then I say, does anybody in the audience, is anybody really trained and worked at this? Does anybody really know how to play the guitar? And then a hand will go up, and I'll call them to the front. They get on the stage, and I've seen it before. The kid will pull out a pick out of their pocket.
Yeah, sure. If he's playing the guitar,
That's how
he's got it with him. His
right.
wallet or
I mean,
something.
he's at school, dressed in uniform, but he's got a pick in his pocket. And then he plays, and it's and the crowd is everybody's
sure.
cheering.
Right.
And then I'll ask the question, say, well, how long have you been playing? And years. Well, how did you learn? Well, I take courses, or I went on YouTube, and I learned how to play and stuff like that. Was it hard? Yes. Did you want to quit? Yes. But why? Did you not stop? Because I really wanted this.
Right. Right.
And then now they can, and I make the point that we might not all want to rock out on stage one day, but
Sure.
but we all have a desire to love and to be loved. And if we want our love to make the sweetest sound, then we need to turn to the divine teacher who teaches us just how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on it. I think the music analogy is a good one.
Praise God.
You have to work at it. I mean, obviously there's a savants out there who can just pick up a piano and kind of go nuts on it.
But still, even now.
But even still, you got to work at the craft. And
Yeah.
so it's the same thing. I mean, marriage is something that hopefully is a longing we all have for. And if we're lucky enough to find the person that, is there, then it just requires effort. It requires work. It requires certain skills to build. Being a marriage counselor and having studied this in theory and in practice, I mean, there are certain skills that one can develop that helps, within that, just like the guitar. You don't put your thumb over the fretboard. You got to know where to put things, and you got to know how to work the fingers and stuff on, so you know what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it does require some effort. It does require some work and intentionality.
But in the
to make it
beginning,
happen.
in relationships, it's so exciting, right? I mean, not
Yeah.
to say that it's not exciting after, but it's like there's this kind of this passion, this intensity, this love, and it is just so easy
Yeah.
to relate.
Right.
And we were talking before we this morning, and I was saying, I think a lot of times we kind of set ourselves up for failure, though, in the way that we kind of see things and going into relationships, where a lot of times we'll date somebody, and if it doesn't work out, then it's like, well, look, it's not you, it's me, and and then there's this breakup, right? And then you go from dating relationship to dating relationship to dating relationship, and then finally you find somebody who can, you finish each other's sentences. Sorry,
Nice
I've watched Frozen
fun.
so many
Yeah,
times.
You have girls,
I know. So yeah, 4 girls, and so we've watched Frozen a few times. But
Yeah.
you finish each other's sentences, and you know each other, and everything just makes sense, and it works.
Right.
And then you get on your knee, you ask, will you be my spouse for the rest of and then all of a sudden you're off into the distance, married, and then all of a sudden there's this struggle, and you're like, wait, hold up, did I make a mistake? I thought this wasn't going to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I worked really hard to find the one, and I thought you were the one, but now this doesn't feel like the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, right? In a dating relationship, you can break up.
That's totally legit, right?
If it's not working, and if it's
Right.
really hard, within the first couple dates and the first couple months of a relationship, that's the time.
I mean, there's something true about that.
That's the time to
Right.
to cut ties and say, all right, it's been fun, but we'll see you later. Because when you're married obviously is a different level of commitment, and obviously the sacramental element we believe and profess in, to say that this is permanent, this is lifelong commitment. This isn't cutting ties or cutting bail, whatever, and just kind of getting out of here isn't an option anymore.
Right.
So that's precisely why dating exists, because it should be that time of discerning whether or not a certain degree of compatibility exists. Now, no one person is going to completely fulfill every desire in your heart. No one person is going to meet every single check off the list. No one person is going to do all of that, without a doubt. But is it enough, that you see enough of a future with this individual? And so then once you get married, the first 5 years, and I think the studies kind of show that is the kind of honeymoon phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, the initial kind of high lovey-doveyness, it fades within that 5 to 7 years. And if divorces happen, most divorces occur kind of within that 5 to 7 year range, precisely because people get disillusioned, right? Yeah. The things that you thought were funny early on, all of a sudden become annoying. Like, oh, it was so cute the way you folded your laundry, and until 7 years of you doing it differently than me is now annoying. Or I think we talked about this also, man, he's so funny, his humor is great, I just love it. And all of a sudden his humor becomes sarcastic, biting criticism against you. Right. And it's no longer funny and cute. Or you met while you were partying and had a great time together, and at some point somebody grows up and says, hey, it's time for us to have a steady job and be raising kids, and the other one still wants to continue that lifestyle, and it's like, okay, well, this isn't funny and cute anymore. Right. So marriage obviously is a lifelong commitment, and it means that we're going to change over our life. I mean, we hope that as spouses we kind of grow and mature, at least kind of on parallel tracks together, but we're going to change, we're going to mature, and hopefully we're doing that in kind of a similar pace.